Hey, everybody. This is Liz Faircloth. So excited to be with you all tonight and excited to be doing more of these live streams with our amazing InvestHER community. We are both on our Facebook community, our InvestHER community that has close to 4,000 women right now. And we're also live on our YouTube channel. So really excited about tonight because me and Andresa don't really go live much together. And I'm so excited to bring her on to talk about something that she is so knowledgeable about construction and working with contractors. She's masterful at that. So masterful that when we did projects together, we'd be going through projects and doing our kind of walkthroughs, and she'd say things and do things, and I'd be taking notes because she's just a master at this. So I'm excited about tonight. I'm excited to talk to my friend, my partner in crime, and someone who I look up to when it comes to a lot of different areas, especially construction. So if you are here, please give us a shout out. We're doing more of these lives, so get ready to, hey, Michelle, thanks for joining us. I'm going to bring Andresa on, and we're going to talk about the 5 proven ways to untangle challenges with contractors. So, hey, Andresa.
Hi.
How you doing?
Excited for this. It's just like
I know.
Our podcast live.
I know. We got to be doing some more podcast lives. We do a lot of our recordings, but going live is a whole different ballgame.
Sometimes it comes from here to here too quick. And what can I add it?
Well, and for everyone that doesn't know this, when we do our podcasts, when we're interviewing someone, if I want to ask a question, I go like this. And if Andresa wants to, because sometimes we take it a different direction. So
we go like,
hey, we can totally do that live because, hey, whatever, right?
Exactly.
So excited to have you on, and so excited to do these. And I know we'll be doing these where you'll be interviewing me about things I know a lot about, and just this topic of construction, especially women, dealing with contractors and women in construction is so much a passion of yours, certainly mine, but certainly yours. So talk a little bit about your construction background, if you don't mind. And because I don't think everyone knows what that is and what your experience.
Sure.
And then we'll get into the topic, and then we'd love to hear from the ladies that are joining us in a moment here.
Sure. The funny thing is that every time that I talk to somebody and I say, yeah, I do the construction, I'm like the job site, that's what I like. People are like, really? Like, that's it? Like, that's what you like? It's not like I made a choice, right? Oh, I want to just do that. It's that the place where I feel the most comfortable and confident is at the job site. It really is like boots on the ground, cold, hot, all that good stuff. So my first project was a primary house, and we hired a general contractor. I didn't know a thing. And of course, I overpaid a lot. I think I overpaid about 70 grand.
Wow.
And I think that the cost of the total rehab should have been around 65. So think about it, right? But I didn't know what I didn't know, right? I didn't know suppliers. I didn't know what he was saying was too high, too low. I just say, okay. But one thing that I did right was just to really be a sponge and ask a lot of questions. And then from there, I did different rehab projects, full gut, multiples at the same time, around like 10, 15 at the same time, started doing new construction. And now I'm involved in large commercial. And one thing that I learned from residential and commercial is that there are a lot of differences. Of course, the higher you go, you got to be more sophisticated on your plannings and your knowledge. However, there are so much in common between residential and commercial. And that's something that I was like, the organization, how you talk to people, it's really the same. So I have experience from 30 grand into $1 million construction budget. So it's really like a very, very diverse. And I'm really passionate about sharing my experience with other women, because I do feel that sometimes we don't feel confident talking to contractors, or even, on our own job site, we don't feel comfortable talking to other people. So I want to share as much as possible about my experience.
That's great. I'm excited. So before we go there, please, if you're here, give us a shout out. Tell us where you're from. We just love to, connect with our community, and that's it's all of our community. We always like to say, Andresa and I are part of the community. We're leading it, but we're certainly part of it. And we see this like really cool global circle of women helping each other become financially free and balanced as we're growing together. So just really excited to be on here with all of you. So our number, the women watching are going up. But yeah, give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, lots of hearts if you want. That always helps, right? With hey girls, hey Austin, how are you? Thanks for the preview. Awesome. So what are we going to talk about tonight? We're going to talk about 5 proven ways on how to untangle challenges. Yeah. Hey Sherry, I saw you. I think you were on the event last night. So yeah, glad to have you here. Unfortunately, I can't see some of your names because it says Facebook user, but I see someone from Dallas. Thanks for being here. Someone from West Palm Beach. Thanks for being here. Iowa. Awesome. So Andresa, tell us a little about, untangling challenges. And Andresa is, not only you're knowledgeable about construction, right? And what you're talking about, but Andresa has such a neat way of just getting to the point, right? And just like, kind of getting to it, so to speak, where I kind of what's the word? Not get to the point, and I've seen her in action of dealing with challenges on our projects. Andresa and I, before we even started the InvestHER Community, worked on a number of projects together, real estate projects, and we continue to do so. So we didn't just come together on this particular project. So I've seen her in action. So talk a little bit about these 5 ways and how the women watching and listening can use these on any project that they're obviously using contractors.
Yeah. So it's going to happen. Sorry to break the news, but it's going to happen. You're going to come across different situations with either a general contractor or a sub that you are hiring or a project manager that there's some breakdown, right? In communication, something happened and you're just like, So don't expect that it's going to be smooth. Oh my gosh, I'm really upset. Can't sleep over this. At the beginning, I was really upset. I couldn't sleep. And I was like, oh my gosh, how I'm going to talk to this person about it. And then I had to deal with different situations. I had to deal with people that really stole my money and took off, literally. Right? So it's different situations. And what I'm going to talk to you guys about is it's all part of the business. So the way that you untangle things, right? The first thing is something, okay, you're coming across something that what you're thinking does not match what he or she is thinking. So there is a disconnect there. So the first thing that I usually do is I check the fact. I go to my contract. That's why you got to have one. You got to have a clear contract that your attorney revised, a clear scope of work, describing what you really want, clear list of finishes, a very clear schedule, and a very, that's non-negotiable payment plan. Because I first check the facts, right? If my contractor is telling me that I owe him X amount, okay, hold on. Let me take a look and verify. Because when you are doing one project at the time, it's fine. Okay, cool.
You can remember it. Yeah.
I can remember it.
Yeah.
But once it comes down to 5, 10, 15, you can rely on your memory, right? My memory after I gave birth is half gone. So I can't rely on it. I either have to have things on Dropbox, which is one of my favorite apps, so I can access it and really figure it out, because I might be thinking wrong. So it's just not, I need to check the facts before engaging. And women, sometimes we want to, get into a conversation and just resolve and go. And sometimes you got to say, hey, hold on a second. I'm not clear on this. Let me check and get back to you as soon as possible. You have that right. You don't need to engage in a conversation right away over the phone, because that's when mistakes happen and you agree to things that you're like, not really, I don't agree to it. So you can request the time to go and check the facts. So that's my number 1 tip.
Love that. And I think doing it in a way that's very mindful. Sometimes we just want to either get something done, or we just want to please, or whatever's coming up for you, right? And I know that I'll say things and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, right? So if you know you're that kind of person, what you're saying makes so much sense. Not only finding the fact, verifying the facts, but like stepping away from it. Like, let me double check. Let me come back to this versus saying something and then having to now redo what you said, right?
Yeah.
That's just hard. Yeah.
It is. It really is. So my number 2 tip is have the courage to have the conversation, right? And guess what? Sometimes I did not feel that I had confidence enough to have a tough conversation, an uncomfortable conversation. You can name it, whatever you want to name it, but it's something that you're like, don't want to have it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to start this, but get comfortable. It's like negotiating. The more you practice having those conversations, better you become. But I'm going to recommend you a book that I read, and there is a really like a step-by-step way of formatting your conversation, and it's called Fierce Conversations by Susan Scott. I really love this book, and Liz knows that I consume a lot of books, and this is one of my favorites because it talks about communication, right? So if you avoid communicating, you are just delaying the conversation.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to happen at some point with this general contractor or with future general contractors. So look at this as an experience and an opportunity for you to practice conversations, right? So and take a look at this book. I highly recommend.
Yeah. Love it. And I want to, I love that I love that point. And that's a great book. We read it for one of our mastermind, right?
Yes, we did.
And, everyone has a different way of communicating, right? So especially when you're dealing with people who may quote unquote know more than you. So having that confidence is everything. Can you repeat the author's name again, please? Sure.
Susan Scott.
Susan. Oh my gosh, I've been talking all day. Well, I've been talking since I think 7 a.m. Susan Scott is the name. So Thanks for asking, Sherry. I've got a question. I don't think you mind questions. So let's jump into some questions here. Unfortunately, I don't know the name. Facebook user. You got to, and just so you know, ladies, you have to accept StreamYard. So just so you know for the future, then I can see we can see everyone's name. But regardless, thank you, Facebook user, for being here. How specific do you get with your SOW? Scope of work? I get very specific, so it's clear and we can check the facts, but I swear the contractors don't bother to look at it, even get annoyed by it. So how do you manage that, Andresa?
Yes, they do, right? Pictures. I add pictures because it's like
that's a really good suggestion.
I hate to say that, but people learn and communicate in different ways, and sometimes they do not read. So I make it very clear. I do bullet points. I do pictures with arrows pointing like this. One thing that I really like to do, because I'm very picky, not picky.
Thanks, Maria. It's Maria.
Maria. Okay, yeah. Maria. So it's not that I'm picky. I have high standards for bathroom tile. If you understand what I'm saying, right? I will rip the bathroom tile if it is really off and I can't stand looking at it. So in order to make things clear, first, if the person is bilingual, I need to translate to their language. That's something that I do. But I also want to be very clear with the picture itself. How do I want things to look? So the more clear I do it, is, if I need to draw, if I need to go to the job site and just do something, I cannot make it. I need to make it detail so it can protect me, but not too much that then they're like, oh my gosh, 10 pages of scope of work for a bathroom, right? So make things very simple and do bullet points so you can refer, bold questions and then very, very clear. Make it simple.
I've always said too, I've seen a lot of, Andresa always put the scope of works together for our projects. And she really did. She put pictures. It was like step by step. And the more visual you get, the better. So, and I've always seen people run their scopes of work, and someone asked what's an SOW. It's scope of work. It's basically what you're giving to the contractor to say, this is what we're agreeing to for you to complete XYZ project. It's kind of like the project. Ooh, took my thing right out of my ear. Too many using my hands like an Italian. It's basically like what your project plan is, if you will. So I had a thought and that popped out of my head, but can we see an example of a SOW?
There's so many different examples, and I always say you can create your own, right? Is really going through the project and say, okay, if you go to your bathroom right now and you start describing everything that is inside your bathroom, you start from the bottom and you go up. So floor tile, tub, wall tile, shower head, mirror, vanity, toilet, hardware. You start doing all of that. So when you're going to a project, right, you create a general one. And when you go to a project, you just edit that one. So I don't create a new SOP for every single project. I have a template that has everything. And then I just start editing things. So when you go, you say, okay, this toilet is not that bad and is a rental. So keep the toilet instead of replacing the toilet, right? So you can create things, you can create your own very easily. Another tip is the inspections report. It has a lot of information there. So you can get a lot of information and just like copy and paste items.
Sherry's asking, do you do your SOW in Excel or Word, or is there some sort of program you use? What's your preferred?
Word document. But when I share with my contractor, I share in PDF because I don't want him to, and I lock it. So I don't want him to edit it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Sherry, for your question. All right, cool.
Good questions.
So great questions. So let's go back to your second. I think we're on your second tip or your third tip?
We're going to the third one.
Third tip.
Now,
okay.
Right? So the first one.
Review. We always like reviews.
Check the facts.
Check the facts.
The second one is have the courage to have the conversation. The third one is to use the right communication tool. And hear me out on this one, right? You are pissed off that something happened and you start texting your contractor. And then the text becomes like, woo, like a, I know that I shouldn't be texting when what I'm trying to say has more than a paragraph. It can be. So text for me is just like, yes, no, okay, good to go, 5 minutes, like short answers. And I had such like bad experiences when I was really irritated or something did not go well. That is not the right time to have those conversations. I need to bring my conscious level down in order to have those conversations. If you can, go to a phone call. But I prefer visual because then I can read the person. What is, and one thing that I'm very conscious about is that I have an accent and I come from a different country, right? So sometimes my pitch is very loud and very strong. Not necessarily I'm yelling at the person, right? In my house, we're Italians. In Brazil, my family is Italian. So we are very loud. People are like, are you guys fighting? No, we're celebrating.
Yeah, right.
So just be mindful of it. And right now we cannot do, face to face, but if you can, it's really a good time. And then you call the person and say, I see you're frustrated, because sometimes the long text comes from the other side. I see you're frustrated. I'd rather speak with you instead of going back and forth. And then people interpret things in different ways and vice versa, right? We interpret their communication one way and vice versa. And I think that it scaled to another level and it can go even more. It gets worse. So if you see that you were writing more than a sentence, just cut it out and go straight to the phone call or in person.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, especially now, right? We just can't get face to face with people as much. But what have you done as you've led your construction projects currently since COVID? How have you been able to? Has it been more phone? Have you done some sort of like FaceTime? Like, have you done any of those sort of things since you can't get there physically, and you might need to have those conversations with your contractors? I'm sure you've had,
Yeah. Yeah. And, sometimes I got to walk through the project. So we're like all wearing masks and they're like, what? What do you say? And we're like, oh gosh, you just need to deal with it and make sure that everybody gets. And sometimes I need to print it. Sometimes I always have like a paper with me and a pen. So sometimes I just need to draw it or demonstrate something. It's my responsibility. It's our responsibility to make sure that they get the communication. If they made a mistake, either I was not clear with my communication, I didn't give guidance. I always take responsibility for that and just ask, how can I do better in the future? Okay, next time, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you the link. Here's exactly the picture, how it looks like, how I want it to be done.
Love it. All right. So we're on number, and please keep asking questions. Give us some hearts, give us some likes if you're enjoying us going live, which, Andresa and I are really committed to doing more and more of, and bringing other women on, speakers, talking about lots of different topics. So we'll be doing more and more of these live streams just to kind of keep our community fresh with content and supporting all of you in this business of real estate investing. So we got another question. So how do you manage safety of the materials used? I.e., do you avoid formaldehyde? Yeah, I can't even say that word. Am I saying that right? Formaldehyde, VOC, or other toxic chemicals. Okay, gotcha. Toxic chemicals. I didn't read the whole thing. So how do you manage safety of materials used? How do you, how do you handle that on your projects, Andresa?
Toxic chemicals. I'm not sure if you're talking about like paint and that type of stuff or something else. So one thing that I'll just interpret. I'm interpreting the question here now. I usually don't get a lot of materials accumulated there because number one, they disappear, they go somewhere, I don't know, right? And number two, it just accumulates, right? So if we go by phase, material for that phase over there. When we're doing rough plumbing, rough electrical, it doesn't make any sense for me to start buying the tile for the backsplash. Any sense. So I'm not gonna have boxes and boxes of tile there sitting there, neither paint, in order to take care of it. So it's just we buy as we go. Or in our case, we have a warehouse and it's there, but then goes to the project in a different time frame. I haven't done anything that's like toxic or anything like that, so I don't have experience with that.
Gotcha. That's helpful. So we got another question from Tampa, Florida. How do you find a good contractor?
They come with a tag. You look at it.
They have this tag around their neck, right?
Yeah. Check it out.
I'm a good contractor. Yeah.
One, I come with guarantee. So they don't.
And that's $1 million question, right? That's a big challenge that all of us have. And just how do you find a good one?
Right. And what is a good one, right? It might be a good one for one project. Can he or she handle 2 projects, 3 projects? You are as good as your last project. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it. And I have contractors that I can say, yes, they are, because they have been good for a long period of time. And others, I was like, yeah, he was good on the first one and screw up on the second. So cannot do that. Absolutely. Many times, right? So one thing that I do, and I always share, I go to their job sites when I am interviewing. So the vetting process of a contractor, I think that a lot of people don't spend too much time there. And that's why there's a lot of untangling things. So if you spend a lot of time on the vetting process, you will spend like the ride is going to be much more smooth. So when I meet the contractor, I don't meet the contractor on my job site. I meet them on their job site because I want to see I'm qualifying them at that point. Yeah. I'm checking what is going on there. How are the people working? I look at the details and seeing what's going on. That can tell a lot. So look at he's not saying, not like what comes out of his mouth or her mouth, but what do you see? What can you tell?
Love that. It's a great suggestion. And I think you've told me before that when you do that, you try to do it and not tell the person you're coming, right?
Yeah. Well,
am I making that up? Am I making that up? I might be making that up.
When I'm meeting the new contractor,
yeah,
I do schedule a time, not during lunchtime. I do schedule a time and I arrive about 15 minutes early. So I'm right. But I want to see if he arrives on time as well. Yeah. But on my job sites, there are days that I go there that is scheduled, but there are days that I can pop in.
Love it.
Not unannounced.
Love it. Someone asked about the recording. So we are growing all of our communities, and one area that we need to put more energy into is growing our YouTube, viewership and subscribers. So this video is going to be really easily seen right on our YouTube channel. So please subscribe, like, all that good stuff over on YouTube, because we're putting all of our podcast episodes there every week, and we're just going to get more diligent with actually putting some really great content there in the future. But in the meantime, this video and our other webinars and what have you are going to start going up to our YouTube channel. So just go over to YouTube, The Real Estate Investor. To someone asked about where this recording would be, and that's my suggestion with that. We got a couple more questions I want to get to. So this is a good one. How do you suggest mastering? And thanks for all these great questions, ladies. It's really I love that, like, when I've done a lot of different lives and a lot of different events, and there'll be so many people watching and there's so little engagement. But yet in our community, there could be the amount of people watching are right there. They're engaged. I love that about our community. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for showing up. Yeah. Thanks for showing up. We just love you all. Give you a big virtual hug right now. But anyway.
And you know what? It just makes me feel okay, because I was like, who likes construction besides me and a couple of people that I know, right? So we all know each other.
So cool. So how do you suggest mastering the learning curve of construction so you can make educated decisions? Are there books or resources? Do you recommend formal education? I'm scared to lose all my savings.
Yeah. We all are, right? So let me just move a couple of things over here. This is something that I shared before. I have a bunch of books here that I can share with you guys, but like books like this one here for Jay Scott from Bigger Pockets.
Great one. And he has two.
Great one. Yes, it's a great one. There's one for construction management and residential construction, and other ones for commercial. So there's tons of books on our Instagram account. If you go there, I have a list of my top books. And one thing, you got to be patient with the learning curve, right? I heard this another day. I'm just going to repeat. The people that say, I know it all about construction, it's ready to change, go to another industry if you think like that. Because there are days that I'm like, what is going on here? Never heard of this before. The first time that I saw horsehair on the walls, I was like, what is going on here? I am in South Philly, right? So immediately I thought the mafia killed somebody and I'm going to find the body here.
Oh, geez.
Right? But it wasn't. It was like horsehair in back the day. And then you're like, oh, this is so cool. And then becomes something cool. But, be patient with your learning curve. And we're always learning. If you're growing, you're learning. So just welcome the mistakes, right? You just need to mitigate the risk, right? If you're going to put your entire savings account on a project, how can you mitigate that? Can you put half of it and then partner up with somebody that has experience? Yeah. Because you want to learn from somebody that has experience. I'm the type of person that I will pay to gain knowledge in order for me to move forward. Instead of, that's a high risk if you're putting all your savings there into something that you don't know what you don't know until it's really in front of you. And when you are running a project, you got to be 2 weeks ahead.
I think, I've heard it, and I said this, I was on a podcast yesterday, and I said, you're either going to pay for your education in a lot, you're going to pay for your education. It's just, how are you going to pay for your education?
Yeah.
So I find you're either going to give up some equity and go with somebody that's an experienced person. That's always a strategy. Someone might pay a mentor, right? Someone might take a course and do one of those types of, expensive courses, if you will. Other people don't do anything. They go to a few RIA groups and they just go for it. And that was more of me and my husband. And our first flip, I'll just tell you really quick. We, Andresa heard all of our horror stories. That's why we started working with her. But we did the the plan, and we're going to renovate this property. And we basically replaced the roof because the roof needed to be replaced. And 2 weeks later, we had a general contractor tell us, first person said something different, tell us that the foundation and the structure was so poor, we're going to have to tear the house down. So literally, we had just put on a brand new roof and had to tear that down. So you talk about rookie mistake, right? I say that because, I wish we had this investor community before that. I wish we found someone that was more experienced and said, hey, we find a deal. Can we just shadow you and learn from you? And we can be the grunt, we could be the feet on the street. Like, I wish we had done that stuff. We just didn't. And that wasn't what we did. And we learned, and we lost $30,000 on that deal. That was our first flip. And that's what we lost. And I'll never forget what an experience. But I should say it, when you lose money, it teaches you so much.
Yeah.
Obviously we don't put roofs on houses anymore and tear them down. Positive, right? But I just say that because there's a lot of ways to skin it, but you definitely want to get that education and then just start taking baby steps is important too.
Yeah, I remember my second deal, I partnered up with a guy that knew much more than I did. The second, oh my gosh, I didn't know what I didn't know. We bought a burned out house, completely burned out, and needed everything, right? But I was like, whoa, this is a lot here, right? We cannot save basically anything. It's just like 3 walls. That's it. And we learned a lot on that deal. We brought the deal to the table, and it was not a 50-50 deal. It really was not. And I was okay not being a 50 deal. I think it was like 20%, 15% that I gained. But I observed the whole thing. And that taught me so much, and you start gaining confidence about it. Yep.
Well, and this is probably a good segue. We have like 4 or 5. I love all the questions. So we have a number of questions. We're going to get to everyone's question. Someone said, is the InvestHER mentorship starting soon? I know we've talked about our membership and mentorship, and we're actually rolling that out soon this fall. But as a prelude to that, because Andresa literally gets so many questions, asking for so much support around this topic of construction, we just couldn't wait for our kind of mentorship membership to launch. So Andresa, why don't you share a little bit about that? Because I know how passionate you are. I know you put something on our Facebook community, but why don't you just share a little bit about that, and then we'll get to your two other things, get our list complete, and get to everyone else's questions. So why don't you share about that?
So as Liz said, we wish we had this community before, because then when we come across some challenges, we can put on the community and we get the answers. So Liz and I started a mastermind about business, real estate business, 5 years ago, and really powerful, really powerful. It's online once a month, and we really talk about different things that we're going through, our goals that we want to achieve. And the support, I've never mastermind prior of that. And some people are not really very familiar with the power of masterminding. So basically, it's when you are on the hot seat, all eyes are on you, and you share what you're going through. And in a conversation, one idea leads to another. And then there we go. Here is a bunch of things that you can do at the end. One thing that I didn't find it so far, is a group of other women who are rehabbing, wholesaling, going through syndication, or dealing with construction itself. I couldn't find that group, right? I don't know any group. So I was like, I'm going to create one. So we created a group for women, for our community. We're going to meet once a month. It is online. And we're going to mastermind around construction. We're going to go to different things. I'm going to share my experiences. I'm going to have some special guests coming over to talk about specific subjects.
Awesome.
And we're going to have people on the hot seat. And then we're going to have also in between meetings, right? Because things happen in between meetings. We're going to have a private Facebook group where we can support each other, ask questions. And for people, sometimes things happen and we cannot be part of the live call. We're going to record it, and everything is going to be on our platform, the same platform that we're going to be using for our membership. So you guys can go there and download. So if you're interested, I would love to have you guys here to talk more about lumbers, toilets, and how can we make this better without losing our hair.
But I also say what's really cool about this is we're so passionate about masterminding. Andresa and I do it a lot together. Andresa is she's masterful. I mean, I love you dearly, but two things that you're masterful at is dealing in construction and like speaking very lovingly but strongly and directly to people in masterminds. And you just get right to the point with people. I've seen you do it. And people, and the women that we've masterminded, is like 3 or 4 women in the last few weeks we've been, masterminding with and helping them, me, Andresa, Ashley, and do a few different women. And they're just like, oh my God, that was amazing. Oh my God, that was so helpful. Oh my God, right? I'm totally moving in a different direction. So you got to be part of this with Andresa. It's like really, 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 really affordable too. So why don't you just share that too?
Yes, it's $37 per month. Listen, I have paid thousands of dollars, and the reason why Liz and I created our first mastermind is because we were looking for it, and they were like, "Whoa, a lot of zeros." So we were like, "No, we don't want that." And hear me out. The power of mastermind is not in me only, right? I need other women in order for us to mastermind together. It's kind of like a synergy that happens. And you're like, whoa, because you said that, it just something pop up in my head. How about this?
Oh, I'm so excited. The women that are going to be part of this with you, I mean, you got to join her.
So let's get awesome. We have great women already part of the group. So I'm really excited about it.
All right, so let's get to some good questions. So if anyone else has any questions, but please check that out.
Before I go to my number 4, I'm excited about my number 4 because my number 4, I learned from Liz.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Sherry, how did you, thanks for your questions. How did you find the person you shadowed on your second deal? So how did you find that person?
Yeah, it was a South Jersey RIA. I went to a RIA meeting, and he's still a realtor who also does business investments. And we started having conversations, and I said to him, hey, are you open to partner up? I see your deals. I see what you're doing in terms of investment and your experience. He was in the business for like years and years. So doing a single family house for him was nothing. He's like, yeah, we can partner up. And I said, okay, I can bring the deal to the table, but I want to shadow everything. I want to know how you calculate and everything. And that's what we did.
I would say too, for the ladies that don't know this, we have 25 meetups around the country. And, what's really neat about our community is that we have women who literally don't have to work another day in their lives.
Yes.
Like literally. And everywhere from women who are just, figuring things out, starting out, and everyone's willing to give and support. I've been at meetups and women will say, listen, I'm going to go walk my rehab on Saturday. Anybody that wants to come with me. There's been multiple meetings. So we know personally, all the meetup leaders, they know someone who has active projects right now. I would imagine if you have a meetup or you're in an area, there's women around you, hey, just go with them. They won't even charge you, to walk. They're not going to charge you to walk through the property with you. They just want to help. And this community is all about helping. And I think that's really what's really helpful too. Sherry, I don't know where you are, but post it on the Facebook page. Hey, I'm new. I would love to learn more about rehabs. Is anybody doing a rehab in X city in X state? I'd love to come meet you and do whatever you need me to do to help you.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a post like that in our Facebook community, but why wouldn't someone do that if they really wanted to? That's where this community is really giving and helpful, and then you can help them. And who knows, maybe you could have a partnership, right? That's what this is about. It's not just about knowledge. We want you to do business with each other. So we're not talking about building wealth. We actually want you to build wealth with each other. That's what we're creating this community is about.
Absolutely.
You're not talking about it. So I just want to say it. Women are so awesome. I agree, Sherry. I'm just going to put that out. Right here because it's so true. We're all so biased though. So really quick, Gina asked, I love that picture. Looks like a fun picture. But Gina, thanks for being here.
Look at that.
Looks like a total party time of a bunch of women. I know, partying or doing something fun. So thanks, Gina, for being here. But you said, is there a limit of people in your mastermind? So what's that about? I'm not sure, Andresa.
So because we have a platform that we can record everything, no, we're not going to limit that because we can really create the group that we want. And here's one thing. My main concern, I don't want to be like hundreds of people. Then it's a little off to me. I want to be manageable. But one thing that I got asked all the time is, okay, if I have too many people, I won't be able to be on the hot seat. And I guarantee you one thing, that once that person is in the hot seat, she's not the only one learning. When Liz is on the hot seat, I learned so much for observing and seeing, oh my gosh, oh yes, I felt that way. So you always learn. And sometimes that person is going through the same thing that you are. It is really
so true.
It really is.
Right.
So yeah.
So thanks for the question, Gina.
Yeah.
Austin also asked, and Austin's been part of our community. I think you were one of the first ones. I feel like I've seen your name, and I haven't met you yet, unfortunately, but I'd love to, because I feel like you were one of the first people to join our Facebook community. Don't you? Isn't that right, Andresa? I recognize that name. I recognize her name, and I recognize you, Austin. I feel like you're one of the first people, because we used to accept everyone. I want to say you've been part of our community since we started, but
you have a better memory than me, though.
I do have a pretty good memory sometimes. Yeah. But anyway, it's a great question. Do you put money down? This is a great question. Do you put money down for contractors to purchase materials, or is that request a sign of poor money management of the contractor?
So there's two parts, right? Do you put money down for contractors to purchase the material, okay? Or there's a request, a sign up for money. No, here's the thing, right? First, we need to define: is the contractor, is my contract with the person, the contractor, material and labor, or just labor, right? So that will define exactly what it is. If it is just labor, I am paying for the material. So no. And then if it is material and labor, my deposit will be different in each project. It's not like, I'm going to pick a percentage. No, let's see what you're going to happen. I'll give you an example, right? I will give you an example. 2 houses. House number 1, it's everything there. There's clothing, furniture. The person just took off, and there's everything is there. So I need to pay the general contractor to take all that out, clean up, and see everything else. So that's the first number 1 cost. How about another house, same house, that is a shell, completely shell? That money, it's not here. So you need to really understand what is the first phase, what is coming with the first phase, and the money goes there. The second payment is only once that is completely done. New construction, for example, I'll give an example. New construction, three houses next to each other, right? Let's say foundation is 30 grand each. So 30, 60, 90. That's how much it's needed to complete that chunk, that first phase. So you really think about the scope of work. It's not like, oh, this project, for example, the budget was about 700,000. I'm not going to just give a percentage. No, it's just based on what it is. The more sophisticated is your general contractor, more understanding he or she will be, and they have capital to run their business. You don't need to fund their business. You know what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah, that's a great question. Hopefully that helps. And Austin reminded me, we did meet at BP conference last year. That was a long time ago, but I do know you've been part of our community for a long time. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Awesome question.
Let's go to number 4.
Yeah, go to number 4, and then I'll bring up another one.
So here's the thing. A lot of us have partners, right? Liz is my partner, but many of you have your husband, your wife, your friend as business partners, and you got to leverage that. So my number 4 is you're going to choose who is going to communicate with the contractor and untangle the challenge. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's not me. It's Liz. It's because you got to figure it out. What is that person communication style, and how can you get through it? Sometimes it's not me being straight up. Sometimes it's more like Liz style, to really like gather the person and nurture that person, and she does get what she wants. You know what I'm saying? So strategically, you got to understand what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. And sometimes I'm not the right person to deal with that. So strategically, and you got to be aware of it, right? Liz taught me something. Instead of me saying, what the hell happened here? Like, how this happened? You go like this. Oh, I see. I'm just curious to understand X, Y, and Z. So instead of like going like, I'm just curious to understand how this right? This happened, but you just go in a different language. But if you're not that person, strategically choose somebody else that kind of connect with that person.
Awesome.
Better.
Like that. I'm a big fan of that, as we always talk about, right?
Yes.
So what do you got? What's the fifth one?
The fifth one is make a deal. And this is to the point where you already had those conversations. It didn't work. The DC is disappearing, not coming back. And he's just like delaying. He says that he's going to come back, doesn't show up. You already start thinking, I'm going to have to call my attorney. However, he's ahead of the money. So if I pay an attorney now, I don't know if I'm going to have the money back. So you've got to come to an agreement with the contractor. And sometimes you're just going to write off your losses and move forward. The deal here is that you got to stop and think, okay, if I make a deal, would I lose less? Or if I hire an attorney, how much that's going to cost for something that I don't know if I'm going to have to recoup. So sometimes it's just a matter of, okay, write off, didn't work, try everything, try to negotiate. But if you can, I always try to make a deal. And what I try to do, my intention is always, okay, if I want to avoid the person to be ahead of the game. When I say ahead of the game, meaning if I have to fire my GC today, do I still have money on my account for that project to hire another one to complete the job? If my answer is yes, it's okay. If my answer is no, because he already took money and did not complete,
right,
he or she is ahead of the game. And I need him or her to get closer to the completion as fast as possible. So sometimes it's really a negotiation tactic. So you can reduce, but sometimes you just gotta move forward and just get the project done, hire somebody else, get the project done, because your carrying costs start piling up.
Absolutely. And every time you do something and you make a mistake, you're going to learn that much more, right? And make it better for the next time. This was that was good. This is a good, someone had said, I just want to read real quick. Thanks for sharing. I'm finishing up my first hands-on rehab with a 50-year veteran in the business. And it's been good, but so all-consuming of time and energy, which I totally underestimated. Definitely need to learn more structure and systems around hands-on rehab. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. My mantra is like, how can I do that better, faster, and like nobody calling me? I always say, Liz, check the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, right, Liz? Like, I'm obsessed with it, because I think the goal is to make sure that you can do multiple at the same time. And absolutely. I am telling you, multiple takes the same energy that one takes.
Yeah,
it's the same. You just need to have the right systems in place.
Love it. Hey, Michelle, thanks for being part of our live. Do you have your contractor sign a legal no mechanics lien after each phase? I forgot the name of the legal paperwork.
Waiver. A waiver. Absolutely. So after every single payment, they need to sign a waiver. And then at the end, once I get the CFO, the certificate of occupancy, then I get, I paid, and I get, it's like, whoop, we give you the money, you give me the waiver. Absolutely. Guess how I learned that lesson? Because I didn't have one. And then when I went to refine, the person claimed that I did not pay him for the whole thing.
For the women listening, is that something, is there a standard one? Is that something they have to get from an attorney? Like this waiver, is this something you literally just create? Like how would someone get their hands on that and make sure they have the right waiver to protect yourself?
I don't know other states, right? So I can't speak about other states and other regulations if it needs to be notarized. I
Okay.
know that for commercial, we have to have those notarized because the numbers that we're getting is very high. So check with your local attorney to guide you through it. But it's basically saying, hey, I so and so confirm that I received this amount of money and everything is good to go. That's what the paper basically says, but you might request to be notarized.
Got it. That's great. Thanks, Michelle, for
Yes,
asking.
thank you.
Got another one. Hey, Katie.
Hey.
Thanks for being here. Most contractors I've interviewed requested a substantial down payment, and when I said no, they weren't willing to do the job. Is that normal?
Well, it really depends, right? It's like supply and demand, isn't it? Right nowadays, it's kind of a little crazy out there. I always say the more qualified the contractor is, less they will ask upfront. When somebody's asking too much upfront, that's a red flag to me. One, because I don't think they understand their financials, and they're just like, yeah, let me just get as much as upfront as possible and use on that job site, and they do not have capital to run their own business. So I see that as poor money management. Unless this person is you're very, very comfortable with this person, really, really comfortable with this person. But I don't do that type of deal with a like first time.
What's your rule of thumb though? Like Andresa, say you have like a $30,000 budget, right? I mean, 30,000 is probably, I don't know if it's average or not, but
I
you
don't
know,
know,
I don't know, not in
30,000.
our area, right? Where you usually do major renovations and it's a lot more, but let's just use
Mhm.
30,000 as a fun
Can
number
we
to
use
say,
100? Because then it's easier for
all right,
me.
100,000. All
All
right.
right. All right.
100,000. What
Yeah.
amount of that or what percent of that to like, give Katie maybe some, generalities would
Uh,
be, a fair down payment? How much do you think out of that 100 grand would be fair to give that contractor, especially like a GC, right? They're doing the whole
mhm.
job to get going. And
Yeah.
then how do you what's your mini,
Yeah.
payment plan structure?
Yeah. It depends. It depends. Think about it. Because how about if it is a rental? My payment was going to be different than if I need to gut the property completely. How about if I need to demolish the entire property? Right? It really depends. And that's what's going to determine your scope of work is going to determine that. If you are 100 grand on a rehab, for example, right? It really depends. If your demolition, 3 grand, 4 grand, 5 grand, it really depends how big the house is and
What's
how
the
much
most
stuff
though? What's the most
that
down
we
payment
paid.
that you'd ever no? What down payment is the most that you think is fair to give a contractor to get going? Like out of that 100
None.
grand, what
None.
you wouldn't
Well,
give
in
any?
commercial, we don't do. So
Not
you guys
commercial.
understand.
Yeah,
But
I
in
hear.
residential, it really depends. It really depends on the scope of work. That's what it will determine that. It depends on your finishes and what's
So
going on.
Katie, give us some real numbers because I'm trying to get some real numbers out of Andresa, and she keeps telling me it depends.
Yeah.
What was I want to know what a substantial down payment is because I
Yeah.
think that's how we're going to all, the women watching and the women listening to this is going to learn,
If
right?
you're
What
gonna,
does
if you want
substantial
like a
mean?
percentage, right? If you want like a percentage, I feel comfortable. The ideal for me will be 10%, and I'll feel
Okay.
comfortable with 15.
Okay.
Closer to 20, then I'm like start going a
Okay.
little off.
So
But
10
I
to 10
don't
to
go.
15%.
But it's not a rule of thumb for me because I break down. I break down everything, and it might be really, really different. About it really it needs to be what it needs to be done. If you're doing new construction and there's no sewer system over there, it's a big thing up front.
Yeah.
It won't be the same. If
Gotcha.
there's nothing there, I need to build all of that. There's a big chunk up front that goes.
I think the bottom line too, Katie, just to give my 2 cents is, if you're, if you're what you're willing to do in terms of a contract is not the same as them, it is so helpful to know that at the beginning because you're
Oh
not the
yeah.
right fit and say, hey, okay, that's, so it's almost like, okay, they're doing you a favor, and like you move on to someone who's not looking to take 50% of 100 grand, right? That would be nuts. We've done that early on. You don't want, that's crazy town, because now they're way ahead of you.
And sometimes those sophisticated contractors, they will cost a little bit more, and that's totally fine. But they are usually the ones that don't need payment for them to start phase 2 or phase 3, because they already started. So they,
Sherry asked too. Oh, here we go. Katie, one guy wanted 50% for
Hell 20. No.
Yeah, not a full just some. No, that's crazy town. Yeah,
not happening.
That was kind of just the example I gave. Yeah, that's crazy.
No, not happening. 50% of $20,000. No, how about if he walks away with that? Then what? No, I will do completion. And I have no problem saying, hey, I'll pay you by week. I walk the property, verify that the job was done. You will get your 10 grand in a certain period of time, not in one shot before you even step your foot into the job.
Hope that helps.
Yeah.
Katie. And Sherry, you asked, wouldn't you pay after the demo?
Yeah.
You pay after the demo, but yeah, what we're talking about is like before they begin the job. That's what we're talking about.
But here's the thing. If there are some projects that it is demo the walls, demo the beams.
Yeah.
It's not just the demo. So it's a lot. It's a lot of money up front. And it's part of the deposit. That goes with a lot of different things.
Someone else said, and Katie said, thank you. No problem. Happy to help. Someone else asked or said, you give final payment after they're done.
Oh, yeah. After I get CO, not after they're done. There's different, they're done. And then we have a punch list. I only have a punch list after they say that they're done. So they're done, punch list, CO. Because during the CO, the inspector might want other things that I missed here, right? And then after CO, then we're good to go for final payment. And that it's spelled out on the contract. So there's no communication, no, misunderstanding.
Love it. I love it. We're almost at the hour. This has been so cool and so, wonderful to get all these great comments. So go through your 5 again. And then we'll talk about the mastermind and then see if anyone else has any other questions.
Sounds good. So let me check over it. So check the facts. Make sure you have a very good contract. Have the courage to have those conversations. Read the book. It's not just good for this type of conversation, but for any types of other conversations. It's called Fierce Conversations by Susan Scott. The third one is choose the right communication tool. Make sure if you're getting too long that you get in touch with the person. Choose who is the right person to communicate. And then at the end, either you make a deal or you make a decision and cut your loss and move forward.
This is awesome. Andresa, like, as you can see, knows and is super passionate. She can go till midnight on this topic.
I love this thing.
Yeah, and I do too, but not on her anywhere.
Like a beverage, right? A beverage. No, just drinking water.
We really appreciate you being part of this. We're going to be doing more of these lives, having a lot of different types of experts and women coming on. We're just really committed to doing different things to just keep growing our community and giving you ladies what you need to kind of keep buying property, learning about, what you need to learn so you could create that financial freedom and increase that financial freedom in a balanced way. So real quick too, Andresa is going to be kicking off on August the 24th, a mastermind that's specifically for women in construction, dealing with contractors, everything around construction. And that could be wholesaling, flipping, apartment buildings, really anything regarding like the niches, but the construction is going to be the theme. And you can learn more about going here right on the bit.ly, lead her in construction. And it's, we're really excited about that. That's going to be leading up to our kind of rollout of our membership and mentorship. But this is kind of like the first thing, because literally out of a lot of the different topics we get asked, it's always a big question around contractors and construction. So we thought no one better to be lead that mastermind.
I love this. I love mastermind. And I think we're going to learn a lot from each other. And one thing that I want to share is that in every single call of us, I'm going to pick a theme and talk about that theme. So it's going to be also knowledge. This is not a course for somebody who wants to become a general contractor. No. This is somebody that is already doing it or managing one or learning more about construction. So we're going to talk a little bit about it and then go into solving mode, which I really love.
And just thank you for being part of this Facebook Live. As
Yes.
you know, we have meetups, free meetups around the country. A lot of them are virtual, so check them out. We have a Transforming Your Money Story webinar coming up, free webinar next week. It's going to be Wednesday at noon. I have two fantastic women who are financial planners coming on, and they're going to be really talking about beyond financial planning. More importantly, how do you transform your money story? And they started talking about this topic and we were on a call together. I'm like, can you come on and teach a webinar about this? Because that is something I think so many of us need to hear, because that is on the back end of all the financial decisions we're making. So I'm personally, selfishly really excited about that, because I was so intrigued by it. I'm like, you got to come on and talk to the women in our community. They're really amazing ladies. So that's next Wednesday at noon. It's a free webinar. So we're putting out a lot of free content. And then as we grow and we put together groups, that's obviously where, these membership subscription pieces are coming in to just, kind of get everything moving. So we just appreciate you so much. Andresa, you're amazing. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. It was great. We should
this is fun.
More. And then next time I'm going to interview Liz. Guys.
Ooh, about something exciting. But thank you, ladies. If you have other questions, you know where to find us. Have a great night. And thanks for being part of this.
Bye.